So the Sacramento Kings are going through it right now. They've lost 5 in a row. I believe they're like 4-9 in their last 13 games. And some of it is bad luck. I mean, they were dealing with the Fox and Bagley injuries almost from the jump. I mean, they started out 0-5, and they did a pretty good job of climbing back from that. And then Fox and Bagley came back, and it's like, oh, this is going to turn around, and now those two are hurt again. These guys have lost 5 in a row, and everything I just said. So, where do the Kings go from here? Besides the obvious things of just hoping that Fox and Bagley are healthy for longer than a few games. You know what I mean? Well, I think we should start with Buddy Hield, because I think his season has been very interesting. He was a huge part of what allowed them to turn the bad start around. He had a nice run of somewhere between 20 to 25 points a game on good efficiency and doing more things off the dribble, and not a big-time playmaker, but they didn't need him to do that. They needed him to make shots and all that stuff. It has not been very good lately. You could argue that he's been shooting some bad shots. And for whatever other reason, I mean, they did have some weird thing recently where Hield was like, why am I not out there in certain situations or whatever, and is that potentially a little bit of a continuation of the thing they had in the offseason where he's like, well, if they don't want to pay me, then I'll leave, even though they did pay him, of course. I mean, potentially. I don't know. Maybe there is a little bit of friction with Buddy Hield and the Kings coaching staff organization. Maybe I'm just trying too hard to find something there. The point is, he has not been very good lately. And while I would expect him to turn it around, he's been missing a lot of shots. And, I mean, they're not going to win if he's not being that 20-something point scorer. And a part of me does feel like it's a little mental with Buddy right now, whether it's confidence in himself or the team as a whole, whatever it may be. It's just a little weird, is one way to put it. Another thing to talk about is how this team is playing significantly slower than they did last year. This season, they are 25th in seconds per possession at 14.7. Last year, I believe they were second in the league in seconds per possession at 13.3. And their transition numbers are lower across the board in terms of frequency of transition, percentile of where they rank in the NBA in transition. It's all worse. They're just a slower team. And is that because of Luke Walton? Is that because of no De'Aaron Fox? Is that because of no Marvin Bagley? I mean, you would think that the Fox, Hield, Bagley, Barnes, and insert Bielitsa or whoever else would be a pretty fast team. I would like to think that Corey Joseph playing a lot of the minutes at point guard as opposed to De'Aaron Fox doesn't suddenly make this team super slower. I mean, he's definitely not Fox in the open floor, but it's been a harsh drop-off nonetheless. And that was one of their things last season, is that they just kept on coming at teams possession after possession, and teams were not ready to deal with it. So I don't know what the resolution to that is, besides telling dudes to run more. I mean, there's a chance that Luke Walton's not a good fit for this team if he believes in a slow pace. Now, maybe this team could be good with a slower pace, but do we know that for a fact? Are we confident in believing that one? Because I don't know if I am. I think another thing that has really hurt them with the lack of Fox and Bagley is how few free throws they shoot. They're second worst in the league in free throws per game. They attempt like 18 and a half a game. And last year they weren't shooting a million more, but they were definitely shooting like a few more at least. And with how many close games this team has had, because they've had like kind of an alarming number of 1 or 2 point losses or wins or whatever. So as a result, you would think that free throws would be a massive thing for them. And I mean, with how erratic Bagley can be on the boards and in transition, you'd think that'll get you a couple extra. And while I'm a little confused with the idea that Corey Joseph would make your team insanely slower than with De'Aaron Fox, Fox will definitely get downhill more in the half court and in pick and rolls and stuff, which can allow him to get some more free throws. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is shooting the most free throws per game on this team. He's just played about half as many games as basically everybody else besides Bagley. So, it's tough. I mean, if you've only got one guy in Buddy Hield who can be your shot creator, and even then, he's probably really meant to be like 50-50 off-ball, on-ball, it's just going to be really difficult to generate points. I mean, if Rashawn Holmes, who I'm finally mentioning 5 minutes into this thing, had not become a bit of a revelation for this team, there's a chance that their currently ugly record of 12-19 would be even worse. And to speak on Holmes a little bit more, he plays hard as hell, he finishes, he's had quite a few big rebounding games. I mean, in his last 2 games, he's grabbed at least like 7 or 8 offensive rebounds. And the dude's just out there playing hard, setting screens and all that stuff. It's been a big difference than like Dwayne Dedman, who has not been good for them. And looking at the last 13 games, because to me that's kind of when the downward thing really began for these guys, they basically have 2 lineups that are worth a damn. It's Bielitsa, Corey Joseph, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Buddy Hield, and then the other lineup is you swap out Bielitsa for Bogdan. So in a way, this team's only got maybe 4 to 6 dudes who are really helping them win right now. Because the moment they move away from that and they start getting into Ariza and Yogi Ferrell and whoever else, it falls off a cliff. Another reason as to why losing 2 of your best players for, in Bagley's case, damn near the whole season, and for Fox's case, about half of it, typically leads to you not looking too good, especially as you keep on going, and eventually it's like, well, crap, who the hell can dribble on this team without De'Aaron Fox, So, where does this all go for the Kings? I mean, besides just Bagley and Fox being healthy, I don't know, dude. This just might be one of those years. I mean, certainly getting Buddy Hield going is the most necessary thing to me, and whether that's just having him fly off the ball a little bit more and trusting Corey Joseph and whoever else to just make the passes to him and not putting too much of an offensive load on Buddy's shoulders because he's not the playmaker that Fox is, it's probably your best option. Are they going to have to stick to playing 5 or 6 guys a little more than they would like to in order to actually win some more games? Well, the lineup numbers would suggest they kind of have to do that. I think they should give Harry Giles some minutes. I mean, I don't know if he's had an injury or something, but he's barely played this year, and if you were really all in on watching the Kings last season, Harry Giles did do some exciting things at times as a passer, and I know he had that big injury that basically dropped him from best prospect in the country to wherever he was actually selected. But that dude's got something, if you ask me. So potentially that. In terms of moves that they could make, I mean, you do have Ariza's non-guaranteed. You got a couple of small expirings that could have some life. I don't think they should trade any of their firsts, but they do have a few seconds. They actually have a few extra second rounders in the upcoming seasons. They got like 2 in 2021 on top of their own, and they have all of their seconds from 2022 and beyond. So you could do something with that, potentially get somebody. I think in terms of future things, I mean, I've talked about the idea of trading Bogdan. I don't really think they should, if I'm talking from their perspective. Unless you think you're going to have to max him out or something, and they should probably hold on to Bielitsa after this season. He continues to be an advanced stats person for them, spacing and just doing his job, basically. So yeah, I think a lot of it is just getting healthy and getting Buddy Hield going, and just you keep just squeaking out these like 2-point victories and potentially explore running a little bit more and whatever else. This Kings season is on the brink, if you ask me right now, of being salvaged or getting pretty ugly. So we'll see how they go from here.